Okay, we are live. Hello everyone. I'm Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Skill Horizon YouTube channel. And we have Kunal once again with us. Welcome Kunal on the channel.
Hey, thanks, Sanjay.
Okay, so as you all know, we are running ServiceNow development bootcamp. These sessions we are doing so that you can go through what is happening with ServiceNow, the platform, what coding language we use here. Okay, so that you can have some familiarity. And we are showing this website so that you can visit and see the whole curriculum. So right now we are giving you the glimpse of admin and development. Admin we already covered. Development we are covering in this series. And if you want to deep dive, you want to become job ready. So those courses are available on this website. You can go through. And soon we will be starting our first batch. We will be offering some scholarships as well. And we are preparing a sheet where we are capturing all the job opportunities, so that I will be sharing in the chat so that you can access. Okay, so with this note, I think we can start with the session.
Good. So we have covered a lot of things. Last session, we ended with a brief introduction of workflows. And I told you that that is not something that we should be focusing upon. That is now being phased out. The newer instances, which came out in October, if you hit that version, you will not be able to create new workflows. So leaving that behind, ServiceNow has decided to replace that with flows. It's a bit more intuitive UI, and we will cover that now. Flows has three major components, and one is trigger as to how would that flow start, what are the conditions that are required for that trigger to be triggered, and then simply actions, what steps are needed to be taken, and how can you create a subflow and trigger it from the main flow. What we would do is we would take a look at a flow that I have already created and understand how it looks like. And once we are done with that, we'll create a new flow and we will see how can we work with that. So let's quickly move to our PDI. Remember, we have said this multiple times. If you really want to learn, you should get yourself a PDI. Go to developer.servicenow.com, create an account, and they would give you a free ServiceNow PDI personal developer instance and start practicing. Okay, let's go to flows. It gives you a flow designer. It will automatically pop up in a new tab. Cool. So what I already did was that I created a flow today, and we will open that up now. And that is project proposal demo flow. Now here on your screen, you see flow designer, and there are several components. We'll go through each one step by step. This is the name of your flow. You can click on it, and it says this is active, which means this version is actually working. If a trigger triggers it, it will actually run. You have two different kind of views. One is this view, which is a schematic from top to bottom, and you could also go to a workflow kind of view. It is not exactly a flow chart, but it is something similar to that. You have to double click and look as to what it does. I personally do not prefer this. This is a bit confusing. And once you actually start making 10, 20 steps, this will actually not look good. So we will stick with our previous view. You can test your flows before you make them active. So you have an option here, and you can click on edit flow to start editing this, and you can deactivate this, which is it will not trigger. So let's see. So on this flow, the trigger is you click on it and it will show you. Let's edit the flow to have a button. So this trigger would execute when this table is updated. There are three options: created, created, updated, and only unupdated. I have chosen updated. And which table, project proposal, and what are the conditions that need to meet when this flow runs. And that is additional comments changes on all task and task extended table. There would be additional comments and work notes. Additional comments are uh, they're more behavioral, they're more you decide what happens with this, but normally they are defined as customer visible. So the caller on this ticket would be able to see those. And that is why what we've done is that if the additional comment changes, we are assuming that the caller has put in a comment. And if that happens, what would happen is we would update the record. Which record? The record which triggered the flow, and what we are setting, customer updated to be true. We could hit false and we could make it true. Now you could do it by clicking, or you could actually write a script for it. But again, we'll come to that later. For now, we'll just cancel it and we'll see how it works. Okay, so we go back to our record. Now, if you see on the screen, the custom update is not checked. So we will add an additional comment. Customer commented this record, and we'll post that. You see that customer commented on this record is added. And if you go up, the checkbox has been checked automatically. Now, if I were to remove this and save this record and make any other changes, change to short description, and even add a work note, that will not trigger that. The custom updated remains unchecked. But the moment I add another addition comment, that would change. Okay, so now we understand how flows look like and how they work. What we will do next is we will create a new flow. And the idea is on this table, project proposal table, we have a UI action, create project. And what it does is that it will create a project record on the project table and link it to this record. Now, I could go and create project, but I don't want to do that. I want to automate it. And what I want to do is that if I set the state to close complete and save it, it should create the project and update this value. This is a reference field to that table, and it would update that thing. Okay. So what we'll do is we will quickly create a new flow. Let's close this flow. New flow. Create project for the proposal. Build flow. There are a few additional settings. We can ignore them for now. The main one that often comes and shows an issue is run as. For example, you can run as the user who clicked or made the change, or you could run it as system user. The main difference being that user may or may not have all the privileges, but system user would have all the privilege, all the ECS for them. But in most cases, you should stick with user who initiates the session. All right, we will now define the trigger. And the trigger is updated. We don't want to this flow to run when the record is created. So we'll choose just this. And the table is project proposal. And we will add the condition. And that is state changes to close complete. And do we want this trigger to run again? There's a possibility that you made it close complete, and someone goes and make it pending and then make it again close complete. But we do not want that flow to run again. So what we'll say, only once, and that is done. Now, there are a few things that have changed. One, you see the trigger, but at the same time, you also see this trigger record updated, which means we have access to all the fields that are available on this record. For example, this is the whole record. Every field that is available on that table is available here. And we will use this, and it will also give you the change fields. This will, we won't be using it, but yeah, this is important. For example, if you want to know what changed and which were the fields that changed. Cool. So now first, what we'll do is I want to make sure that there isn't already a project in this field. So what we will do is we will select flow logic if make sure project doesn't exist. And what I'm trying to do is I want to make sure that, so we will open this record and we'll find that value project. We can drag it here, is empty. Okay, so we want to make sure the project field is empty. Done. And once you do this, now you see these action buttons have indented to the right, which means we are inside the if condition. And we want to create a new record now. How would we create? Click on action. There are hundreds and hundreds of actions that are available for you to use. Some of them are from ServiceNow Go. Some of them are available through other application as well. But for now, we will simply limit ourselves to ServiceNow Go, and we would say create a new record. And the table we wanted to create is project project replicated. Yeah, this is I can be fine. Submitted. This is the template. And remember, we can always copy the name of the table from the URL. So we copy this, type this, and here we are. All right, so now we need to make some fields, right? So we will put a name and we will say project created for, and we will simply get the number of this. I'm guessing we have number. Yeah, we have a number, so we'll drag that here. And that is it. And we want to make sure that the proposal is set. And since proposal is a reference, we can drag the whole record here. Done. Let us see if there are name, proposal, and number, right? So is there? Yeah, that is what we want. We want name, proposal, and the number is automatically generated. Good. And that is done. So that has been created. Now, once this is created, we will go and update the parent table project proposal with reference to this record. So we will search for update record, and we need to update this record. So we have two options. We can choose the table and then put in the SSID, or what we could do is we'll simply drag this here, and everything else is handled by ServiceNow. And we want to make sure project, and the value would be the record that was created here, project, and done. Right. And we will add some error handling. What that will do is it will update the parent record. We will add a note, a work note on it. The flow field retry. That's it. Done. Before we do anything, we will just go through all the steps that we did. We define the trigger where the state changes to 3, 3 being close complete. We will make sure that this value is empty. And if it is, we will create a new record in projects table. And while creating the record, we will make the name project created for the number of the project proposal. And the proposal is the record project proposal. Once that is done, we will go and update the parent record, putting in the reference of the newly created record in the project field. Done. And we will activate this. Done. So now we are in a place where we can try and run this. Let's open the project list view as well. So at this moment, we have just one project, which is already connected to 21253. This is 21325, so unrelated. And let's try it out. Close complete. I'll save this record. And did it run? Yeah, we have created that record, and the record is now connected to this. We will go and see, and here we have the project created for 3125, and the proposal is here. Now, everything, when you have simpler flows, you're pretty much guaranteed that it will work. But when you actually work for a client, you will have a flow where we have multiple if-else condition, while loops, variable associations, and the chances of something going wrong are rather high. So what we would do is we can actually debug this. Let me see if I have today's execution. So when you search flow administration, there would be something called today's execution. It will show you all the flows that ran today. So this is the recent one a minute ago. So we will open this. And let's see if it allows us to view in operation view. And yes, you have everything that happened here. You can even open up, for example, create record, and it will show you what are the fields, what are the values that they use. The name value was project created for this, and the proposals GUID that was used here, and what was the output, action status, code 0, message success, and on the last update record where we updated the project. And if there is an error, we already did put an error handler, but at the same time, you can come to this and see exactly what went wrong. And in that case, it would actually show you error or skipped or whatever. But yeah, this is where you come and debug your running or completed flows. I really want to stress that Flow Designer is a very important topic in ServiceNow at this moment, since ServiceNow want most developer to use less code and more click and develop kind of thing, which is Flow Editor. And this is a very powerful tool. And the reason why I say that is that if you remember when I said there are hundreds of actions available, so ServiceNow core is something that you could have done easily with scripts. but at the same time, you could have actually use Integration Hub, and Integration Hub allows you to connect with Slack, HipChat, Microsoft Teams, Outlook. So what you could essentially be doing is that send a message to your team member, colleague on Teams, and you could send it directly. You don't actually have to configure the integration. That will be handled by ServiceNow. And that is why they are trying to push this forward in compared to scripting. All right, we are kind of done with flows. There is a small thing that I want to cover, that is subflows. And how does that work? So what we'll do is we'll go back to our menu. And if you see, there are some subflows. Subflows should be looked like smaller functions. For example, when you write a huge script, you would make smaller functions inside it, right? And you would reuse those functions. Similarly, you can create subflows. And for example, if you see this is on call assign, this is a subflow, right? I can use this when I am here. So if I were to search a action here, what was the name of it? On call, right? So if I were to say on call, I can actually use that here. And when I can use pass some parameters, and that will run the subflow. I won't go into detail how to create one because the creation process is very similar to creating a flow. But yeah, this is something you should be aware of. With this, we will close the flows part and we will move to something which is equally important, and those are notifications. So anything in SaaS, if you have an task that's assigned to you, or you need to reset your password, that all works through email. And that is what we're trying to create now. What we will do is that we'll create a new email notification and we will trigger it from our project, or let's say project proposal table. Let me close all the tabs here. And we will trigger notification using two mechanisms. One is again point and click, where you just define when it should trigger and it would be triggered. And second would be when we would write a business rule and we will trigger it using script. So let's quickly jump to notifications. You search for notifications and then you would find email notifications here. So within email, click on notification. We will open a notification and just look at how the UI looks like. Right, so we will enable this so that we can see better. So this is an email notification. It was created in global application. The name of the notification is this. It triggers on this table and we define when it goes out. For example, this will go out whenever a record is inserted or updated on this table. When assigned to is not empty, assigned to changes, or actual start changes. If one of these two field changes and assigned to is not empty, this email would be triggered. And now we've defined who would receive this email. It would be sent to assigned to. Now, if you see, that is why we checked if assigned to is not empty, because if it is empty, there would be no one who would receive that email. And what will this contain? This seems empty, but it is not. If you go to the email template here, in ServiceNow, whenever there's a reference field, you will always find this preview button. You can click on this and open the record, control click to open it in a new tab. And here you see that the content is actually here. Right? So short description, assignment group, and description are provided within the email body. Right. Now that we know how it looks like, we would create a new. We'll go to history so that we don't have to search again, create new, advise user of proposal, assign. You want to advise the user that you have been assigned this proposal, project proposal, that is done, and when to send, record is inserted or updated. Yeah, we want both. And assign to is not empty, and assign to changes. Who would receive it? Now, there are several options here. You could hard code the user that you want to send. For example, we know there's a Fred Lady in this, so we can add that. But what we want is that we want to use a particular user on this record. So we will simply use assign to. That is done. We will lock this interface again. And okay, that is. And we will quickly create the text here. You have been assigned project proposal details. Wait, I want to add a few details. So I want to add the name of number of the project proposal. Now on the right hand side, you have select variables and you can use those values directly inside your template. Number, what else? Project type, proposal system, and short description. So please visit the card act. Right, and I also want to make sure that subject line has something. New project proposal signed to you. And we would add the number. We'll copy it here. I think that's about it. Let's save it. Okay, now we would go to project proposal and we will change. Let's assign it to Andrew and save. Now, by default, ServiceNow does not allow you to send out emails from the PDI, but since it is ServiceNow and every record is accessible using tables, so yeah, that will see. We'll look at Outbox and let's see what we see there. Created today, created will Z to A, and we see that this email should have gone out. It will not go out because we have not configured our PDA to send out emails, but we can actually look how that email would look like. So right click on this and preview email. That's it. You have been assigned the project proposal. The number is task 21325, proportion system. This seems to be empty. They're not. Project type is empty, but proposal system is not right. So we'll see why that did not go out. But yeah, everything else seems to be working. We have triggered an email. Now the difference I want to highlight is that this email went out because we decided to set record, insert it or update it. Now there might be a situation where you cannot actually use this and you want it to be triggered via script, and we will do that. So for that, we would be creating a new event. Event registry. and we say project proposal assign. Okay, and we will quickly select table, and that is it for now. We will create a new event on this table, save it. We will not close this tab for now because we need to use this name. And on this table, we would create a new business rule. We will set the same condition that we had for the notification. Let's just copy. And we need advanced because we need the script part, and we need to trigger it after. We actually use asynchronous. Update assign to is not empty, and assign to changes. Good. That is it. And in the advanced, ts dot queue event queue, and we will put in the name of the event that we would copy from here. Just double click on it and right. So what we are doing right now is that glide system is the class event user function, and this is the name of the event that needs to be triggered. And we need to inform them that this current record is the record on which this notification has to be triggered, right? So we will submit this. And coming to notification, in place of record inserted or updated, we would say an event is fired. And we will now search for the event that we have. It starts with X. Oh, we don't have a option to search. Right. WX. Why can I find that here? Event name. Oh, wait, I actually need to reload this page since we created the event after we opened the form, that was not even there. History, notification, and event is fired. Yeah, it is. So whenever this event is fired, this notification would trigger. Changes of return notification cannot be used event-based notifications. Oh yeah, we need to move this. Sorry. Since we are checking for condition in the business rule, we don't need this. Okay, so we have this in place. We can now quickly go to one of our previous records, project proposal, and change it to someone else. Say Aaron Uvi, and save it. And then let's go back to our outbox. And we have it here, Aaron Uvi. Now, even seems like that is only used for notification, but it is not. It is literally an event that has been triggered, and you can actually send multiple notifications on this event or even run a background script on it. But how do we know whether this event was triggered? So what we do is we go inside event and we open the event log. So let's open event log in a new tab, and it will show us this one. This is our event that was triggered, and you can open this record and it will tell you that this was created at some time. It was finally processed at this time, and it will even give you the URL to the record that triggered this. So these are two ways how we can trigger a notification within ServiceNow. I had decided to cover just these two topics. We do have some extra time, but I think we will keep it short. But I'll give you a small preview as to what we would be doing the next session. Something that is equally important, that is importing data from other system. Sanjay can attest to it. Salesforce has a whole module, a whole team
Yes.
dedicated to importing data.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
be very complicated process, especially when you are moving between two systems, and we will understand how does that work. And in the end, we will see how integration between two systems can work. How can we make REST API calls from ServiceNow? How can we allow other system to make API calls to our systems? And we will quickly look into how we can test or debug within ServiceNow. And that would be it. That will be end of our dev bootcamp. So this next Tuesday would be our last session. Sanjay?
Okay, so I think in that session, all these modules we'll be able to cover, right?
Yeah, we should be able to cover those points.
Okay, makes sense. So I think whole like overview will be there in these sessions,
Mhm.
and like kind of understanding if someone wants to uh, make their career in service now, they will be able to. But as we already told you, like if you want to deep dive, like we are just covering the overview part. If you want to deep dive, then you can visit our website skillhorizon.org.in. There you will find all the details, and I just shared a link of the job sheet in the chat, so you can just open that. You can see lots of job opportunities are available nowadays in India and outside India, in service now. So you can track those there. And yep, so this is it for today. And we'll be connecting next week uh, with the last session.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kunal, for sharing all the
Thank you,
knowledge to the
guys.
community.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.